Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a Battleground Blitz tier list. I've been doing a lot of Battleground Blitzes this season, mostly just to gear up tunes, and Battleground Blitz is a lot of fun, especially if you're a solo player. If you're tired of pre-mates, you'll probably end up doing this. And I figured I'd be doing Battleground Blitz tier list because it's a little bit different from randoms, as there's a few factors that come into play, like for example, druids and can cyclone cap. They can't do that in randoms. Rogues have an easier time capping in battleground blitz over randoms, and stuff like that. That makes it a little bit slightly different from randoms. Not to mention, there's other stuff that kind of comes into play as well. Like there's only 8 players versus 15, and it makes it easier to survive on certain classes and stuff like that. So thought I'd do some background blitz tier list, and yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into the first one. So first one is Blood DK. I don't think it's I don't think it's the best tank right now, but I don't think it's bad. It's got a few things that makes it pretty good. Like they're very hard to kill with their Death Strike healing. They also have a ton of like CC between Double Death Grip, Chains of Ice, um, Silence, a bunch of other stuff. So Blood DK, in my opinion, is probably like the second best tank right now. I think they I don't. You'll see later what the best tank is, but I think they still deserve S tier just because they still make pretty decent flag carriers. They're pretty good base defenders. They can completely disable a healer out of the team fight between. I've seen Blood DKs literally just like stick onto a healer like glue and completely lock them out, and they can't go anywhere. There's like zero escape from a Blood DK. I've even seen some Blood DKs go into like Death Grip over and over and constantly CC a healer in the water and like Twin Peaks and Gilneas before. So they have tons of things that make them pretty good in my opinion. I don't, like I said, don't think they're the best tank, but they're, in my opinion, the second best one. So they have tons of ways to disrupt enemies, and they make decent flag carriers, decent base hitters, and so on and so forth. So that's why I'm putting them an S tier. Frost DK. I don't particularly think they are amazing right now. They're not like, I don't think they're particularly amazing. I think they deserve C tier. I mean, they're better in probably battlegrounds than they are in arena, but in battleground blitz, from all the matches I've done, like a good majority of the games are pretty slow because there's only 8 players. There's 2 healers, and healers are pretty good for the most part, keeping things alive. So it takes forever, and then Frost DKs don't really generally do damage without their cooldowns, and even then, there's just other classes that are better. They don't really bring too terribly much to battlegrounds, in my opinion. So that's the reason why I'm putting them in C tier. Unholy, kind of similar to Frost. I don't think they're particularly amazing, but Unholy it is better than Frost. So that's the reason why I'm putting on B tier. They're pretty much similar. The only difference is that Unholy I feel like does way better damage wise, at least coming from the ones. I don't particularly play Unholy personally. I prefer Frost, but I haven't been playing my DK much this season. But I'm going it based off all the DKs I've seen in battlegrounds. I never see Frost, and every single one of them is Unholy. And Unholy does pretty decent damage, so that's why I'm putting them in B tier. But they don't really bring anything spectacular to Battleground Blitz. Like they can't really do any sap cap type of things, cyclone caps type of things. You know what I mean? So they just kind of like bring AoE cleave damage to team fights, and that's the reason why I'm putting them on B tier. Havoc Demon Hunter is kind of in the similar spot of Unholy and Frost. They don't really bring too much to Battleground Blitz other than just like their damage and stuff. The difference is that Havoc Demon Hunter has mobility, but I'm putting Havoc Demon Hunter in S tier just because, for the simple fact that their cleave damage is pretty insane. I'm pretty sure everybody knows this. Their damage is nuts, and not to mention, they have Glimpse to avoid CC when necessary, and also the fact that their mobility can make them get out of team fights and go help out other bases when necessary. And they can also see stealthers just in case there's one nearby. So that's the reason why Havoc Demon Hunter is in S tier. Vengeance Demon Hunter is not really too good in my opinion. The only maps that they really do good in my opinion, is Warsong and Twin Peaks, and that's just because they're fast mobile class. And on Warsong, for example, they can bounce on the roof or the second floor before they get into the base, whatever. I've seen a bunch of Demon Hunters do a lot of cool tricks on that. So the only maps, particularly that I think they're really good on, are Warsong and Twin Peaks. I don't. I mean, I guess they can do good on like Temple as well, but for the most part, I don't really see Vengeance Demon Hunter being that great compared to like Blood DK or another tank that I'll go into later. So, having said that, I think I'm putting Vengeance Demon Hunter in B tier just because they're good on certain maps, but they don't really do anything good on anything else. So that's the reason why I'm putting them on B tier. Moonkin, as a Moonkin main, it's pretty much S tier. Moonkins have always been pretty much good in battlegrounds. I don't remember a time. There's probably been a time, but I don't really remember any time where Boomkin has not been great in battlegrounds. And add to the fact that, like I said before, druids can cyclone cap in battleground blitz because the cap timers are pretty short. So as long as you can force a trinket out of somebody, you can just like I don't know root beam them. Of course, it won't probably work if they're a melee class, but our casters, you can just root beam them, get a trinket out of them, and then cyclone them, and then easily ninja the base. Of course, if it is a pet class and they have a brain, then it probably won't work. But either way, Moonkin's good in team fights, obviously. Moonkins can ninja stealth bases. I've done it tons of times in Battleground Blitz. So they can pretty much do practically, I feel like, anything. So you can even flag carry if there's no other tank in the battleground as well. So I can't really think of anything bad for balance druids in Battleground Blitz right now. So they 100% are S tier for that reason. Feral Druid. Feral Druid's never really been the best Battleground class. I've said that before. They're better usually in arenas than Battlegrounds. But for Battleground Blitz, it is different in than randoms, of course. Having said that, I am really debating on whether to put this on S tier or not. I don't think it really does deserve S tier. The only thing is that, like I said, Battleground Blitz, you can Cyclone Cap. So, I mean, I feel like if I'm gonna put another spec that you'll see in the future in the video, S tier, I probably should put Feral in S tier as well. Um, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they're basically the same thing as a Rogue. So, in Battleground Blitz, you won't really be in much team fights as Feral. You're going to be off doing like killing flag carriers by themselves, which I usually do on mine, or cycloning, ninjaing bases. The only maps that the Feral, in my opinion, really sucks on is probably Temple, because they're similar to Rogue, where they're just not good on that map. So I'm not entirely sure where to put Feral. I'm thinking Feral deserves either A tier or S tier, but just because I feel like the Cyclone caps are pretty huge and they're pretty good at killing flag carriers if you play on defense, I think I'll put Feral Druid on S tier. You could probably really debate this one if you really want to. Let me know if you disagree with me in the comment section. Like I said, it's really hard to tell where to put this one because, like I said, Battleground Blitz is completely different, and Cyclone ninjas are pretty huge with druids. So I'm gonna leave this one at S tier just because of that. Guardian Druid, S tier, best Battleground tank in the game, has been for quite a while now. I don't think this one's a shock to anybody. I'm just gonna put this ahead of Blood DK. Not that it really matters. But yeah, they're really good flag defenders. They're the fastest flag carrying class in the game. They're very tanky. They're the best battleground tank overall. So, Resto Druid is I'm just gonna put this on S tier. Just some of the similar reasons of Cyclone. Cyclone can ninja bases. They have mobility to run away and go heal somebody that's at the other base in the team fight if necessary. And that's the reason why I'm putting them on S tier. Devastation Evoker is probably my second favorite thing right now. But utility wise, comparing it to like, Balanced Druid, Feral, Guardian Resto, and like Blood DK, they don't really bring too much, obviously. Like, they have like no ways to like, ninja a base or anything. I mean, maybe if you can time it right with Sleepwalk, you could probably do it, but it's definitely just a lot harder. The main thing they bring is damage currently right now. and they hit extremely hard. I'm sure if you guys have seen my devastation videos, they are definitely no joke. So while they aren't particularly like S tier worthy, I think they deserve at least A tier because, in my opinion, they're strong, extremely strong damage wise, and that's about. They're really good in team fights. That's about all I can say. I mean, they don't really bring anything else, so which is why they don't deserve S tier. I mean, you could argue I could put it in B tier because Unholy has more utility than Devastation does, but I fear Devastation a lot more than I do Unholy, so um, that's the reason why I'm putting them on A tier. Preservation Evoker, they have gotten a lot stronger this patch. I'm not really sure where to put these guys personally. I don't know if they really deserve S tier because they don't bring the whole cyclone thing similar to what I was saying about druids. So I think I'm just gonna put them on A tier. I don't. They don't really There are definitely healers I hate way more than a preservation evoker, so I'm just gonna put them on A tier. They do have mobility to go help, and same thing like Resto druids and help out team fights. So I think A tier is a good spot to put where to put them. So A tier for preservation evoker. Unfortunately, I don't know as much for them as I do with other healers, but yeah, I'm just gonna put them on A tier for now. Beast Mastery Hunter, I personally don't think they're that particularly amazing. The only thing they really excel at is probably guarding bases. At least from the Beast Mastery Hunters I've seen in battlegrounds, they're not too particularly scary for team fights, and they could probably ninja a base, depending on if you get trapped. You can probably get base stolen. But the only thing I can really think of for Beastmasters is that they're just good base defenders, and that's not really enough to make me rank it into the A category. So I'm just gonna put it in the B tier for now, and that's my opinion on Beast Mastery Hunter. Survival is probably one of my favorite. Actually, it's probably my main hunter spec that I really enjoy the most. It's similar to Beast Mastery, in my opinion, in Battleground Blitz, but I think it's a lot better than Beast Mastery. It does better in team fights, at least to me it does. And other than that, it's pretty much got the exact same utility as Beast Mastery, where you could just traps or stun trap and try ninja base. You probably could do it if you do it perfectly. But other than that, it's pretty much the exact same as Beast Mastery. But I think I fear survivals more than I do Beast Masteries personally. So I'm putting in A tier for that reason. Marksman Hunter, I don't think anybody is going to be shocked by this, but Marksman Hunters are completely dominating battlegrounds at the moment. It hasn't changed in Battleground Blitz. They're really broken. Of course, you would think Survival and Beast Mastery would be better because they have more utility than Marksman Hunter does. But Marksman Hunters are really broken in team fights, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. As much as you gotta win, with bases and all that, team fights do matter as well. But Marksman Hunter is just one of the most broken battleground things in the game right now, and that's the reason why I'm putting them in S tier. So they're incredibly broken. So putting them in S tier for that reason. Arcane Mage, I don't really think Arcane Mage is too particularly amazing. They don't really bring much to the battlegrounds, in my opinion. I'm putting them on C tier for that reason. I'm sure a good Arcane Mage is pretty scary. I mean, I guess I could move it technically to B tier, but I think the other Mage specs are actually better than Arcane, so that's the reason why I'm putting it in C tier. Obviously, I mean, they're better than Frost DK, let's be honest. So, they're better than Frost DK, but I just don't particularly see Arcane being super useful. I mean, I'll put it on B tier. I'll put it on B tier, but to me, Arcane Mage is kind of like meh. So they just don't really bring much. They don't have much. I mean, Polymorph can easily be breaking and all that stuff. So I'm putting it in B tier. That's pretty much it. Fire Mage hits freaking insanely hard right now. For that reason, I'm just putting it in A tier. They're pretty much in the exact same situation as Arcane. The only difference is that Fire can just absolutely melt you with their Flame Strike, Living Bomb stuff, and they hit hard with Combustion. and stuff like that. So it's kind of like same thing as Devastation. That the more I think about it, they just hit very hard. So that's the reason why I'm going to put it in A tier. Frost Mage, I'm putting in S tier. Some people might debate me on this one, but Frost Mage is pretty good in backgrounds between their constant slows. They have Ice Wall to pretty much make some pretty huge plays with that. I've seen a lot of Frost Mages make some pretty huge plays with Ice Wall, like guarding like letting the flag carrier pass and ice walling and making people not pass and saving their flag carrier that way. Or I've actually seen some Frost Mages uh, ice wall the flag, and we managed to ninja it because you can cap it pretty quickly before anybody can react. There's just stuff like that. So Frost Mage, in my opinion, is S tier pretty much for that reason. You can make some pretty decent plays with the Ice Wall, and not to mention the perma slows you can do to everybody is pretty good as well. Mistweaver is 100% one of the more broken healers in my opinion. Revival is so annoying. I've had so many Battleground blitzes where there's double Mistweaver sometimes, and it's just if you play a dog class, you want to just like automatically just want to smash your head on the desk. It's so ridiculous. So Mistweaver is very strong. Fistweaver is very annoying. Doesn't matter which one. Both of them are super annoying. And not to mention the mobility they have when they need to escape helps them out a lot. And that's the reason why I'm putting them on S tier. Brewmaster is a really hard one to gauge on because I don't play it and I never really see Brewmasters, but I do know a little bit about them. Obviously, Transcendence makes them pretty good on maps like Twin Peaks, Warsong, stuff like that. I don't think they're going to be the best base defenders because obviously you can get sap capped or cycloned on like any other tank. I don't think Brewmasters really have any immunities to escape themselves. Like, for example, like Bloody can icebound as stuns, kind of similar to that thing. So, having said that, since they're good on certain maps, I think I'm gonna put it on B tier. I think Vengeance Demon Hunter, for example, is better. So maybe I should put Vengeance Demon Hunter on A tier now. Nah, let's leave it on B tier. I don't think Brewmaster is particularly amazing, so I'm just gonna put them on B tier. Windwalker Monk goes into B tier, similar to Unholy and the rest of these over here. I don't think Windwalker brings much of anything to Battlegrounds other than their mobility to get out and go save a base when necessary. They just don't bring much. They're going to be in team fights mostly. They don't have any ways to particularly ninja a base or not. So I think they deserve B tier. Their damage is pretty good right now, but that's about all they have. They just don't really bring much to the table, so I'm putting it in the B tier. And I actually really love Windwalker. It's one of my favorite things to play. It's just unfortunately, that's just how Windwalker is right now. Holy Paladin, I actually think they're one of the worst healers in the Battleground blitz right now. I never see Holy Paladins anymore. I'm not much of a healer person, so I'm sorry if I get this wrong. But just from experience, I never see Holy Paladins, and the few that I do, they generally just don't do particularly amazing compared to any other healer in the game right now. So I'm putting Holy Pally in C tier right now. You would think they would actually be better, considering the fact that they have Blessing and Sacrifice, Lay on Hands, and all that stuff, but they just don't really seem to be doing good in Battlegrounds, in my opinion. And that's the reason why I'm putting in C tier. I mean, that's just from all the experience, but like I said, I'm not a healer. I can only go based off what I've been seeing in Battleground Blitz for the healing classes. Prompt Paladin, worst tank in the game, hands down. They can't even use their defenses when holding stuff. You can't even bubble with the orb or the flag. You can't use protection with the flag. I don't even think you can use queens with the flag either. I'm pretty sure. It's like most of the stuff you can't even use your defenses with. So they're just hands down, in my opinion, the worst tank in Battlegrounds. So it's the reason why I'm putting it in D tier. Ret Paladin, I'm going to put in S tier. They're pretty strong in Battlegrounds. I've always seen they've been pretty strong in Battlegrounds. They have a lot of support between their Lay on Hands, their blessings they can put on somebody to save teammates. Like if a healer's getting jumped, just put spell warding or protection on them, sack them, stuff like that. So they're pretty much the ultimate support class. They also hit pretty hard right now. And that's the reason why I'm putting them on S tier. And if you time your stuns and CC right, like if you get a trinket at Blinding Light and you stun them, you can probably actually ninja a flag too. I think I've done it before. So that's the reason why I'm putting them on S tier. Discipline Priest, 100%. Everybody knows how much I hate Discipline Priest. They're the most annoying healer in the game to me. I actually despise them out of every other healer in the game. Their damage is nuts. They have a lot of defensives. I feel like they never die. They never die. So that's the reason why I'm putting them on S tier. I want to put Holy on S tier as well because their damage is really ridiculous too. I've actually been killed by a few Holy Priests, and they also feel like they never die. So I'm putting them on S tier as well. Shadow Priest. I'm gonna put this on A tier. I don't think they deserve S tier simply due to the fact that I think they're one of the weaker casters in the game. The reason why I'm putting them on A tier still is the fact that they do have a lot of utility compared to like any other class in the game. They got Mind Control, they got a Silence, they got a Siphon, they got Life Swap, they got I'm sure you guys get the point. They have so much utility that it kind of just makes up for being a little bit of the weaker caster in my opinion. So they can make some pretty big plays with Battleground Blitz between all their utility. I've seen Priest literally also save flag carriers with Life Swap and Leap of Faith. So they just have so much utility that I think they deserve A tier, 100%. I just can't give them S tier because I just don't think they're one of the best casters right now. So putting them in A tier for that reason. Assassin Rogue, right now is getting S tier because you can sap cap bases. They're really good at killing flag carriers, similar to Feral, so I'm putting them in S tier for that reason. Not to mention there is currently an AoE build which I've played on stream, and I think I've posted a video on it. If not, there will be a video on that in the future, where you can just decimate team fights with your cleave build. The cleave build is absolutely ridiculous. So you can pretty much play either in the team fight, or you can play by go off and do your own thing in ninja bases and solo flag carriers and all that. Either way, Rogue is S tier because they can just pretty much do anything. And that goes for Sub Rogue as well. Sub Rogue, the only difference is that they're not really too particularly amazing in team fights, but regardless, you can completely lock out somebody from the team fight, which is usually the healer, and hope your team can just wipe them. Also, Sub is really good at ninjing bases, so they 100% deserve S tier, pretty much for all those reasons. I debated on whether to put Outlaw on S tier or A tier. Outlaw, I feel like, is a little bit weaker than the two rogue specs right now. But at the end of the day, they can still sap cap and ninja bases like the other three rogue specs. But I don't think it deserves S tier because it's a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit weaker than Sub and Assassin. So I'm gonna put A tier for Outlaw, but they can still do the exact same thing Sub and Assassin can do. So I'm gonna put Outlaw on A tier, simply due to that reason. But if you want, you can put Outlaw on S tier too. But that's just from my experience in Battleground Blitz. Up next is Elemental Shaman. I am not 100% sure where I want to put this. They do have a lot of utility, kind of similar to Ret Paladin and stuff, so I think I'm going to put this on A tier. The only difference is with Ellie is that I feel like it takes so much ramp up time to do things, so I'm kind of wanting to put this in B tier, but I think I'll put Ellie in A tier just because the utility kind of makes up for it. They got Sky Totem, Hex, they got a bunch of other stuff. All that stuff. You could also probably ninja base if you lasso and they trinket, and then you can hex them and ninja the base, as long as it's not a pet class, of course. But yeah, I feel like the ramp up damage you need for Ellie is kind of what annoys me a little bit, because especially with the fact that healers can just dispel your flame shocks and all that. So I feel like it takes too much ramp up time to do a lot of your damage, in my opinion. But I'll put them in A tier because their utility is still pretty good. So I'll leave Ellie in A tier. Enhancement, I don't think really brings much of anything to Battleground Blitz. Having said that, I know they're kind of similar to Ellie, But I can't really think of anything else enhancement brings. Like they really don't bring much to the table. It's kind of similar to Frost DK. I mean, Frost DK has like more utility. I feel like because they can just like Death Grip and blinding sheet or whatever it's called, and stun and silence and all that. But enhancement is just kind of like just there. So I'm putting enhancement in C tier for that reason. I just don't think they really bring that much, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Resto Shaman, I think they're better than Holy Pally, but that's pretty much all I can say about it. I don't think Resto Shamans are really too particularly amazing. I never really I see them struggle probably the second most in battlegrounds. They don't really do much. They kind of just are there. So that's the reason why I'm putting it in a B tier. Like I said, I'm not too knowledgeable on healers. I know some of their kit, but for the most part, I think Mistweaver, Priest, and Preservation are better than them right now. And I'm just going to put them on B tier pretty much for that reason. Affliction is extremely strong right now. They are absolutely bonkers in battlegrounds. Between if you get your unstable affliction dispelled, it just backfires and totally nukes the target's health. They hit extremely hard, and you can just rot teams down. They just 100% deserve S tier right now. Not to mention Shadow Rift is really broken on certain maps, so I'm gonna put them there for that reason. Demo Lock, I think is similar to Beast Mastery, but that's about all I can say. I don't think they're particularly too amazing. Unlike Beastmaster, I feel like they have too much ramp up time to really have to to get your damage out there and stuff. All they really do, I feel like, is make good base defenders. But I think they're pretty good at 1v1s, but Battleground Blitz isn't really about that. I mean, I guess unless you're base defending, which, like I said, I don't think Demo brings anything too spectacular to Battleground, so that's why I'm going to put them to C tier. I mean, they make really good, to target CC, but that's pretty much about it. I'm just going to leave Demo at C tier for that reason. Alright, Destro Lock. Last time I put this on S tier, they did get a little bit weaker this patch. Destro can still hit pretty hard, in my opinion. But after the loss of the tier set, their damage did go down. I think Affliction has overtaken Destro at this point. I've even been seeing a lot more Affliction than Destros now. I don't really see too much Destros anymore. And personally, Destruction is my favorite Warlock spec. But yeah, I can notice a little bit of a difference in loss of damage. And while they still have the same toolkit, basically, like Mortal Coils and Stuns and Fears and all that, the Rot Affliction does can just outdo Destro. Because, and like I said before, Battleground Blitz, it takes a lot more to kill things right now. Because I feel like Battleground Blitz, there's just obviously there's no dampening, so healers can just constantly keep everybody alive. Like Battleground Blitz Battle for Gilneas, for example, I feel like the Battle for Waterworks lasts the entire match sometimes. So if that's pretty much a good example. So I feel like they're a little bit weaker, and that's the reason why I'm putting them at A tier. Other than that, Shadow Rift is really broken, and Destro has it too, but Affliction has just overtaken Destro, and that's the reason why I'm putting Destro in A tier. Arms Warrior. Arms is 100% better than Fury, and I'm going to put this on A tier just because the whole Mortal Strike, but they don't really bring anything too noteworthy to the table, other than just Mortal Strike. They're a lot better in Battleground Blitz than they are with random Battlegrounds, because I guess probably just because it's less players, so they're easily more able to live longer in that kind of situation. But that's pretty much it for Arms Warrior. They don't really bring much of anything else other than that. They're pretty good in team fights because they've always been good with healers, and that's pretty much it. It's just they bring their Mortal Strike. In the longer team fights, I feel like they'll be good overall, just because they can add more pressure. So that's pretty much the reason why I'm putting them in A tier. Fury Warrior, 100%. They're not really too particularly amazing. I think I should probably. It's up to you if you want to put them in C or B tier. I'll leave them in B tier just because they're not bad, but Arms is just better than Fury, and they don't really bring much. They're similar situation to Windwalkers. I feel like they're exactly like Windwalkers. They just don't really bring anything. The difference between like Windwalker and Fury is that I feel like Windwalker hits harder, and they can keep adding the Moral Strike, and Fury needs to stack it. You know what I mean? But other than that, there's really no difference between like a Windwalker or a Fury right now. So I'll leave them in B tier. You can put them in C tier if you really want to. I had a hard time really deciding where to put this, but yeah, that's where I'm going to put Fury. Last but not least is Prot Warrior. Prot Warrior isn't really particularly amazing, but it is better than Prot Paladin. They can actually use their defenses. I think they're one of the weakest tanks in the game after Prot Paladin, personally. And that's the reason why I'm putting them in C tier. They just don't really do much. They make okay flag carriers, but they can't like Transcendence out or anything like that. So that's the reason why I'm putting it on C tier. I think Vengeance Team Hunter's better with their mobility. Brewmaster can Transcendence out when need to be. Guardian Druid, I don't think I need to say anything more about that. And yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Let me know what you guys think of this tier list. This is off what I played, and then for the specs that I don't play, like healers, for example, um, and certain tanks. I did my best after facing what I faced, stuff like that. I've done a lot of Battleground Blitz, and I think everybody on my channel knows at this point that I live in Battlegrounds. So hopefully I got everything pretty much perfect. I mean, this is exactly what I think of what they are anyways. So anyways, that's it. I will see you guys later.